1,
2, 3,
4,
5.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. Today we are going to be talking about making the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. And just imagine this. You have a hot, fresh chocolate chip cookie in front of you and a nice, tall glass of ice cold milk or a steaming cup of coffee. I mean, does it get any better than that? So today I'm going to show you my recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies. Now, why would you listen to me? Well, if you've ever tasted my cookies, then you know they're amazing. If you haven't had any of my cookies, well, let me tell you, I have made thousands of these, literally thousands of these cookies, and everyone I've shared them with has loved them. So, I'm going to go over my recipe, the ingredients, and I'm going to tell you, number 2, how to mix them together, and number 3, I'm going to share with you 2 very important tips for every home baker that they should know. So first we're going to go over my dry ingredients. Here in this bowl, I have my flour, 3 3/4 cups of flour. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and I have a 1.25 teaspoons of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix that all together. In this bowl, I have my wet ingredients. I've already mixed these together for the sake of time and a little bit of noise. But this is 2 sticks of butter, 2 cups of sugar, which is divided into 3/4 cup of white sugar and 1.25 cups of brown sugar, 2 eggs that are beaten in there, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So I mix those all together, and then last but not least, this is obviously the most important part of a good chocolate chip cookie. I have 2 cups of chocolate chips right here. I prefer to use semi-sweet chocolate, but if you want to use milk chocolate, I am not going to judge you. It's okay. So the first thing we do is we set out our butter and our eggs. Let them come to room temperature. That's going to take at least 30 minutes for the eggs, maybe a little bit longer for the butter, depending on how warm your counter is. We're going to mix together the butter and the sugar. Cream that together really well so that the sugar starts to break down and dissolve. And then we add in our eggs, mix those in there, and then the vanilla. Now, why do we need our butter and our sugar at room temperature? Well, obviously, if you throw 2 solid cold bricks of butter in here, they're not going to mix together. And as for the eggs, if you have them at room temperature, they mix in a lot easier, and it helps the baking rise and get fluffy when you actually throw these in the oven to bake them. So after you mix all of the wet ingredients together, we are going to mix in the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. We're going to do this in about 3 different stages. So we spoon in some of this flour mixture. You can do this by hand if you want to. I choose to get my gym workout at the gym, and so when I'm making cookies, I just go ahead and use a mixer. And you don't want to over mix this once you start adding the flour, because the flour will start to develop gluten, which is, something that comes in a lot of bread. That's going to make your cookies tough. And it's okay to be a tough cookie, but you don't want to eat a tough cookie. Mix it up a little bit more. All right, and then we're going to mix in the last of the flour there. And just as that's going to start to come together, we're going to start putting in our chocolate chips. Just like that. It's like magic, guys. There is some beautiful chocolate chip cookie dough. Doesn't that look amazing? All right, so now we're going to move on to my 2 secret tips. You remember those? All right, tip number 1. After you have mixed your cookie dough, obviously you're going to want to eat some, but you're also going to want to just go ahead and start scooping those on the cookie tray and throw them in the oven. That would be a big mistake. What you need to do is throw this in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. Why would you want to do that? Why wait? Well, when you refrigerate these, the flavors in the cookie dough, they're going to start to combine, and the flour is going to absorb some of the moisture. Some extra moisture is going to evaporate, and that's going to keep these from spreading super thin and turning into crisp little cookies. So you refrigerate it for at least 30 minutes. They're going to stay nice and round, get a little thicker, rise a little better, and the flavor is just going to be a lot more concentrated in the cookies after they are done baking. So, first tip, you need to wait at least 30 minutes before you start baking. Second tip, if you already know this one, great. If not, this is a life changer. You are going to need to get parchment paper. I don't know if you ever baked a chocolate chip cookie on a cookie tray and it stuck and you had to scrape it up and it just scrambled into little pieces. That's like the worst thing in the world. All you have to do is put this on the pan, lay the cookie dough on there, it will never stick, not even one little bit. And then you'll have perfect cookies every single time. All right, so we talked about my ingredients. We talked about how to mix them together, and I gave you 2 top secret tips for the at-home baker. So, thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Noah Lancaster. This was my demonstration speech on how to make the perfect chocolate chip cookies. And I just showed you how easy it is, so you can go make your own chocolate chip cookies and eat them with a nice tall glass of milk or a hot steamy cup of coffee.
1,
2, 3, 4.
5.